Seriously, is this the Section 230? Do I need to go into any more detail than this? Do I need to go into the actual act? It's highlighting this part as the main part of it. I don't want to be lazy or, because I'm actually making extreme efforts to track down very hard to get hold of acts like the Tumultuous Petitioning Act and things like that, the Corruption and Legal Practices Acts, rare law that is not actually available on the government website, to look at it in extreme detail, word for word, including all the changes. So I'm definitely not being lazy, but according to this, we don't really need to know much more about this Section 230 other than it says that no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. So that's separating all the parties out. So YouTube shall not be treated as the speaker or publisher of my things, and Warner Brothers shall not be treated as YouTube. It's almost like the good, the bad and the ugly, isn't it? No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. By another information content provider. Speak of any information. No provider or user, that's anyone basically, because you can't even, if you weren't using it, how can you access it? You can either use it or provide it. Of an interactive computer service, right, shall be treated as a publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. So you're treated as a provider. But ironically, well, riddle me this. This is America. In England, it says that, particularly if it's to do with political material, like elections, petitions and referendums, it says that to publish means to make available. Do you want me to pull this up, or I'll just say it? Because I've got it on my way. I will go to it now. I'll take a screenshot of this, just a minute. So let me screenshot this, because we'll come... Sweet God. Just let me screenshot this, so we'll come back to it in a minute. Hold on. So these are my main four. Well, this is the evidence against YouTube. My first collection of evidence, and it's mainly based on Parliament and standing orders of Parliament, which enforces the sharing of petitions. Because it's a legal case. It's like you can't have a court and proceedings in law if you don't have a right to, because someone could just interrupt it. Legal proceedings have authority to be conducted, and the court or the police won't be able to operate. Warrants, orders, things like that are to compel using powers. So when you petition in Parliament, it is the court. Well, it's like a small tribunal inquiry kind of thing. Because it's Parliament, like in the painted chamber with the committees and so forth, investigating judges and so forth. So like Standing Orders 145A3 is like summons and witness powers. So you need that for petitions. And you're given directions to share them. Now it says here, if Neil Mohan and Paul Groves want to argue about this, then they're welcome to prove this wrong. This is from the Conduct of Referendums England regulations, right? But this is my own opinion now, but I severely doubt. I challenge anyone that this does not mean the same for elections, petitions, and referendums, right? That to publish means to make available to the public at large or any section of the public in whatever form and by whatever means. Whatever form and by whatever means. So that means online as well. That includes online, right? You're sharing it and making it available to the public. And in fact, on the Parliament website, it says share it on Facebook, WhatsApp, and by email. And when it says the word email, it says the word email, but what does that mean? Well, it means a number of companies, all of them. YouTube has got electronic mail. When you send a message to someone through an electronic system, it's electronic mail. When I put a message on Robert F. Kennedy's YouTube, I have sent him an electronic. I've mailed him a message so he can receive it, right? That's electronic mail. YouTube comments, community comments, Facebook groups, Messenger. That's a type of electronic mail. Yahoo, Hotmail, Outlook, Microsoft Mail, whatever you've got, BT.com, Ask Jeeves, whatever, there are all of them, all of the electronic types of mail you can send, which is sending mail electronically through a internet connection and a signal, right? YouTube, when it says email, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, when it says that word email, it's all electronic mailing systems, so how can it not be Facebook Messenger? Well, it says Facebook as well, and Messenger. How can it not be YouTube community section? If like user send this user electronic message, right? I've sent it, so it means YouTube as well, right? It means to publish. Publish means make available to the public at large or a section of the public in any form or whatever means. Well, this is in the local referendums and conduct regulations, right? But I severely doubt that does not mean the same thing for petitions and elections, because for the reason that those three things, elections, petitions, and referendums, are a democratic process which requires open casework to the public. It requires it's not like a court case. It's like an inside out court case, basically, where it's in public. It's a legal action that is done in public. So you need to share it to make it available to the public at large or a section of the public, like public notice board or whatever. This is why public consultation by the government, right? Planning application by the government is required to a notice to be put up on the street outside the property, and in the newspaper and so forth. So these are casework, because a person has made a case to the council that they want to extend their house. And then anyone who wants to object to that case can put in an objection or get a petition. So, this is it. In fact, you don't only petition for a referendum if you want one. You can also petition for elections. In fact, you can have an election petition. So I doubt that Paul Groves is going to prove that does not mean the same term for elections, petitions, and referendums when you're publishing them. right? I doubt it. You know, it's extremely unlikely that the word publish does not mean the same for elections, petitions, or referendums, given that there's an act called elections, petitions, and referendums, right? So if there's an act which uses all those three terms in it, right, as well as the Local Authorities Conduct of Referendums England Regulation 2012, you know, because they've got the referendums petitions. So that, in England, has effectively written off that section of 230. Section 230 cannot apply in England. It's impossible for publishing, at least in elections, petitions and referendums, because they've got different legislation. And this is the argument: constitutionally protected material. But everyone is... No one's denied that on YouTube there's certain things that are constitutionally protected. The only argument is that YouTube is not recognising it. When you put Google ads, they give you a little box you can tick to say this is political, right? But on normal channels, so far as we're going, they're pretending that it doesn't exist, the classification doesn't exist, or they're refusing to classify. They won't classify because then they've got to apply. If you classify, you've got to apply. Apply law, apply rules, right? So at the moment, YouTube are refusing to classify, so then they don't have to acknowledge that you are a certain classification. That's got to be illegal, refusing to classify, particularly when you've actually made a representation to them, particularly when you've given them notice or even made an appeal through the system and laid that information with them, complained multiple times, sent them court documents. So how can it not mean published in England, at least for those purposes, certain constitutionally protected processes, which, like I said, include advertisements? You don't have to pay for an advertisement, you know. All it has to be doing is advertising something. So, like, you know, how can you... you can have a YouTube channel which is advertising things. You know, you only pay to boost it, or they run it under the term advertisement if you want to pay some money to them to go show it more or force people to watch it in between their videos, right? That your channel could be all made up out of advertisements. You know, an advertisement required to be displayed by standing orders of every House of Parliament. So, you know, if I hit my petition campaign, when they say share it, and that office is operating under those standing orders, I don't know what is, and any enactment or condition imposed by any enactment in the exercise of any function. Well, I'm exercising a function when I'm sharing evidence between other members of a meeting online or to the public or a section of the public, and what are the conditions by the enactment? Well, it is that I cannot be held to any commitments and I can't be prosecuted. So I don't know how YouTube are going to take us to court or prosecute us or hold us to any commitments of its policy to start with, you know? And there it is. Share this petition. So Facebook, email, Twitter, and they also added WhatsApp on. So that email, that's electronic mail. Any form of electronic mail. So I'm going to send this to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I could send it through his website if I wanted to, but I'm going to put it on his community page because that is an electronic form of communication. That's just the definition of advertisement, which also includes a legal representation. So how can they even have this Section 230 in England? Well, it's American law, isn't it? The thing is, it's American law. So it does not, this Section 230 actually does not apply in England to political materials like public consultations, planning applications, you know, elections, petitions and referendums, because otherwise you can't do them, you know. And these things are like legally enforced by, court, tribunal, committee, or council chamber. That's the whole point. One of the guys on Verbs the other day, that Rob the Ratcatcher guy, he said, "Oh yeah, you can't, the council can't summon people." Well, he's wrong. They can. They've got summons if you need to give evidence for council matters. You can actually be summoned because they've got the mace in there, haven't they? That's the power of the king. So Parliament can summon people for giving evidence in their investigations. So Rob the Ratcatcher's wrong. Maybe they might not be able to do it for council tax, but he said that they just can't do it. They haven't got that power at all. Well, he's wrong. They have, but for things, they use courts for different types of matters but they have got power to summon people. So this. So that Public Meetings Act, right? It's that no one's allowed to prevent someone from transacting information, input, listening, speaking in meetings, right? Let's just have a look at this again and see if... I don't think that they can stop people from doing that. Communications Decency Act, which states that no provider of or user of an interactive... Well, you are being interactive, that you're transacting. That word interactive is transacting. You're transacting, you're being interactive. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. Well, that just means that, I'm not the other person and they're not me. And Mark Zuckerberg is not Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is not Mark Zuckerberg, and Neil Mohan is not me, and I'm not Neil Mohan. But we know that anyway, so you can't treat, so I think the gist of this, according to, the Jimmy Dore show and other people have been talking about it, they're trying to make out that, you can't treat YouTube as Warner Brothers, right? You can't treat YouTube as Warner Brothers, and you can't treat Warner Brothers as YouTube. But so what? What's that got to do with anything? If you've got multiple people interacting and they've got a legal right to interact and send information to each other, that's got nothing to do with this. This is to do with identifying who's who and what's what. And one party A can't be treated as party B and so forth. When you're having a meeting of multiple parties, it doesn't matter who's who and what's what, as long as you can attend. It's all about being allowed to attend and transmit and receive. It's all about the legal right of transmitting and receiving and being party presence. Now, the thing with YouTube is that you can the police don't log into YouTube in England when they're investigating a complaint. They don't have an account. I think they do have accounts, but those accounts are sort of like police promo accounts. They're not for police work, proper police work. They're just kind of more like community sort of messaging sort of thing. Just police fluffy stuff. It's not like the proper police work, So the police don't log in they're never logged in on YouTube. They just look on it if someone reports something. They don't hang out on there and engage socially and comment. They just watch it, see what it is, and then if they need to get the details, they contact YouTube, right? So anyone can watch YouTube. It's if you've got an internet connection, you can watch it, right? It's free to look at it, but you've got to look at the ads. So it's accessible by the public, by anyone who's got an internet connection. Now, you can have free internet connections, free Wi-Fi everywhere. So, I think you can go to McDonald's, can't you? I forgot about that. You can, everyone should know this in America, because this is we're out in we're not out in Amish land where there's some, an Atari tennis game would be a step forward or something. But, it's if you go to McDonald's, they've got the computers there, haven't they, and stuff. Like, I think they're the special McDonald's computers, but I think some of them you might be able to do basic things on them, like search, like use Google search. I'm not sure, but or the libraries for free. So, it's accessible to the public. It's not private. The word private means that you can only go in if you're invited. Now, the thing with YouTube is that if you don't have an account, they can't stop you going on there, because you could just go to. You don't have to be logged in. You don't. You can walk to any computer in the whole world and type in youtube.com and like start watching videos, right? So they can't really stop you attending YouTube, like attending it to receive a message from any other person who is on there, right? So really, it's about when you're transacting, you can always receive a transaction on YouTube because you don't have to be logged in. So as long as the other person can put comments and so forth on there, you can receive them. But, well, unless you've got an account and it was to you and that account's been removed and all the comments have gone, then you can't receive those transactions because they've been taken down. But generally, so it's mainly about being able to transmit and send. So if you want to speak to someone or tell someone something, you've got to have an account. Now, if you have broke one of their rules, and I didn't even have one strike, and I don't know why I got a channel taken down when I didn't even have any strikes, and it's all mysterious and hackery because none of the email, there was activities going on and things being triggered on my account months after it had been taken down and suspended. It was getting strikes and stuff, or saying that this or that, and I'm like, well, that's not right because I'm not even been on there for a few months, so there's something dodgy going on. I think that I've been played, hacked, scammed. I don't know whether it was YouTube or another party who has just dicked around with my account and made it look like YouTube took it down, and then every time I complain to YouTube, they're intervening. We don't know. This is the thing. It's like 77th Brigade, isn't it, or whatever. So the thing is that, to send, you need to be able to log in. Now, if they say that they do this thing called circumvention, right? And they say, if you've had one account taken down, you can't have any more accounts, right? And they claim that you're not allowed to have an account, right? You're not allowed to have any accounts, called circumvention. Now, that is going to stop you from making any transactions or sending any transmissions, because they're saying that you can't have any account, right? None. So you can only watch, you can't send. So that's kind of odd. So, and then there's the fact that if you've got any, what happens to all your videos and your comments if they get removed and taken, particularly if they fall into that other classification that I said of, constitutionally protected material, which they don't want to acknowledge exists. They don't want to, they won't let you classify it officially. You can tell them, in appeal, you can say, this is my statement, this is the truth of fact according to law, and say, this is political material. I am claiming it, I am declaring it. That's an official declaration until proved otherwise. But they just ignore those declarations. They ignore your claims. They don't want to officially say, it's political material, because then you've got other laws that come in force. So they're acting in ignorance, hoping that no authorities are going to go after them. They're basically they're relying on that they're in another country most of the time, not in England, and they're relying on that no one can help you and you're not going to get access to legal assistance. Like when I posted a letter to them and they just sent it back, unopened, as if it hadn't been delivered when someone had signed for it. So, In America, it's different, though, because you can drive up to YouTube. I mean, I don't know how many people do this. I don't know if they get angry people driving up to YouTube and, kicking off, turning up. There's Mr. Beast posing for photos. Hey, Mr. Beast, why aren't you saying anything about all these dodgy things YouTube are doing? So, right, them handing you loads of money out every day, dishing you loads of dollar out. But, why aren't you saying, hey, here's someone who's had a channel taken down and, well, YouTube admitted that they actually strike was invalid and actually you were right and they were wrong and they shouldn't have taken it down, but they're not going to put your channel back because your other channel was naughty as well, and now you can't have any channels, even though they made, at least multiple mistakes in their, evaluation process or bots scanning it or God knows what they do. Certainly no one's checking those appeals manually. That's for sure. I don't know anyone who's had a normal appeal accepted. Not at the first instance, anyway. So, in America, but this is the thing. They've got this meaning of this law here. It says shall not be treated as publisher. You're still publishing though, aren't you? It says no provider or user of an interactive should be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information provider. So you're still publishing it. Well, that's the thing though. Just a minute. That guy on Jimmy, I need to click some intelligence in now. So that the guy on Jimmy Dore, that comedian who helps him out, I forgot his name now. But he was going on and on about, YouTube's not a publisher. But you are treated as publishing it. It is regarded as being published. It is regarded as being published, but just not by another person. I think on that Jimmy Dore show, the way they're talking is they're trying to make out that it's not considered like the process or act of publishing. That's what they're trying kind of like selling it as on there, which is kind of wrong because it is publishing, but just not YouTube and not to be treated as the publisher. So this has actually got nothing to do really with any other complaints or complaints really, except who's who and what's what. It's actually, this is really only to do with... This doesn't affect YouTube taking things down. YouTube's actions, like when they take things down when you didn't actually break their policy, so it was a false claim, a fraudulent claim, they can't say you've done something when you haven't, And who wants to pay to take them to the court for that, YouTube said this is red when it's blue, right? They can't lie, But then you've got Biden kicking off with all this, misinformation, malinformation or whatever. Aren't YouTube doing a terrible amount of harm to the general public by taking videos and channels down en masse when no one actually did anything wrong and the claim that YouTube make is false? It is incorrect. It is a lie. And they don't even want to entertain the idea, or they don't really have any. The appeals just kind of like a dead-end form, which just automatic rejection response, And when you sort of can get somewhere on Twitter with their team on there, but even if they agree with you that you're right and they're wrong, then they still don't restore your content because of some other excuse or whatever. There's no responsibility. You can't really get. You need something like that ccb.gov. I know they've got that online court for the copyright claims now, but what about when YouTube are making false claims and statements? What about some online claims court for fraudulent statements, for fraudulent claims? You need a judge to look at something and say, oh, this person said something and it's not true, so they can't be right. So therefore, YouTube said this is yellow and it's green, right? So whatever claim they're making against you through their website cannot be correct because they're lying. So, the judge must be able to say, like this, YouTube, you are lying. It's, this is not what you say it is. So, what else can you do other than YouTube can't really... Well, they've been proved in a court to not be telling the truth, haven't they? So how can they have your channel suspended for any longer when a judge said that, their claim is a lie? That this is the thing. But further than that, that's just for regular channels. We're talking about all people who are engaged with legal actions and things like that and using YouTube, and they don't want to officially acknowledge or classify your channel falls into that category, and other legislation applies, other rights apply.